Hey everyone, welcome to Saturday Night Popcorn. This is Jason.
This is Kai, and we have another great discussion for you today. The movie of the day is Jackie Brown. It is a little bit older. It's from the 90s. Not super old, but if you want to call it the 1900s. Just want to give everyone a spoiler alert.
I was 7 years old. I don't know when this came out exactly what month. But yeah, 1997 from Quentin Tarantino. Is this
Yes.
the first Tarantino movie we have on the? No, what do we?
Oh, is it? It is. It
I think it
is.
is.
Yeah. I was thinking Jordan Poole because we did like all his movies, but no, we haven't done the Tarantino yet. It's the first one,
Yeah,
which is surprising because we both like his movies.
yeah. And what? He only has nine movies, right? Technically.
Only has nine
But
movies.
yeah, which is like it's funny when you like look at like filmographies of people.
Yeah.
Like maybe people like you're lucky if you have one, most
Yes.
likely, and he
Yes.
has nine,
Nine.
and probably no one
And
gives a
people
shit
feel
as
like
to
that's not enough. Yeah.
right, right,
And nine is a lot of movies.
yeah. Like who else has the ability to have nine,
Yeah.
and then 10 too? He's
Scorsese.
gonna he's gonna come out with 10.
Yeah. Like nine movies that are like all critically acclaimed to a certain extent or like loved by most movie viewers.
I think so too. Yeah, it's like no matter what, you can tell Tarantino has put time and effort, and magically, what he's like written and directed like
Yeah.
all of them, right?
All the nine and then plus the ones that aren't listed that he
That
has
he's like
written or
helped on
associated
and
with.
everything, right?
Yeah.
Or an actor in them.
Yeah.
Which is all enough. I'm surprised he's not in this movie. Typically he's in like
Same.
all of his
Yeah.
movies, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He makes some sort of cameo.
Yeah. So I was very surprised. Uh but yeah, what'd you think about Jackie Brown? This was I don't know if you've seen this before. This is the first time
I had.
I've watched it.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I thought you had seen it before.
No, I've never seen this movie.
Okay. Yeah, I had seen it before. It had been a while though. I'd seen it. It had been a while, but I still enjoyed it because
Yeah.
I didn't remember everything. Like his movies are so dense, and there's all these little things you can pick up every time you watch it.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, I truly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I kind of came out of this as I was like I was really I watched it like a few hours ago, right?
Yeah.
And it's a long movie. It's like 2.5
Yes.
hours.
Yes.
And 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 I came out of it, I was like, man, this might be one of my favorite Tarantino movies.
Oh man.
I'm kind of like I don't know, I was like I like when I was first watching it, I have one note where I wrote down I said the
Mhm.
intro's perfect. I love that intro where she's
Oh,
like
with the
on like the
colors and she's
like
just moving.
all the
Yeah.
colors, the title screen, and then like her like running through the airport and getting
Mhm.
to where she's supposed to be, like told a whole bunch of stuff in like a 5 minute span or like an intro.
Yeah.
Like it just like literally was just the intro.
It set the pace for the film for sure.
I think so, and it
Yeah.
was a good opening to it, and it a lot of the highlights to me is like the music. I think every
Yes.
single like time that Tarantino used music was like the perfect choice. Granted, it was like good music, so I think anytime
Hmm.
like you choose good music, it's always going to be like, oh, that's a good choice of music. But
Yeah.
I
Even like the
Pat,
music references too, like him going to the record store and you see all the tapes.
yeah, yeah, and Patty made a note where like it seems like Tarantino's in his movies he always has a sound bite that kind of like explains what's gonna happen or something. Like
Hmm.
when Samuel Jackson's character is sitting outside of Jackie Brown's like apartment when she's getting dropped off by the bail bonds guy.
Hmm.
Like the song within it's a Johnny Cash song,
Yeah.
and she was like, it always seems like one song always kind of sets the
Just
mood or like says something about the movie or something or what's gonna
yeah.
happen, and she felt like that was the song that kind of like was the thing that like was perfect for that time. And but yeah, I came out of this. I was like, I think this is probably one of my better Tarantino movies.
Hmm. I still I still have Django up there.
Yeah, Yeah, Jacob's good, but
because
this one I think was a good story. Uh, I
it
think
was
they're all
cool to
good stories.
see like his perspective of a black exploitation film because it doesn't seem like that many people. It seems like once that era of black exploitation films ended, that was it, and now and then Jackie Brown came out in the '90s, and then Black Dynamite more recently.
Yeah, you
But
think?
yeah, that once that era, it seemed like there was an era just like nonstop black exploitation films, and then it just dwindled to nothing. And so it was cool that he was like, okay, let me just throw my hat in here and make my own version, and let me use one of the classic actresses from those movies and put her in mine.
Yeah, yeah, I know. And looking up, like, to be honest, for me, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen her in anything else, in
Mostly,
personally.
yeah, yeah, mostly
And
black exploitations.
yeah, and it this he's like kind of riffing off of a book called Rum Punch, right?
Yeah,
That's what the story's from.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was really pleased by the movie by and I think also in terms of like his way of directing kind of grew more. I don't know where this is in his like timeline of like I know Reservoir Dogs is
This
his first
was
film.
fourth, third. It should have been Reservoir, Pulp Fiction, and this one.
So I feel like I was like,
Dang.
man, I was like, even like the opening scene where like there was like a whole 20 minutes where like they show Jackie Brown. I guess
Yeah.
you're watching it and you're like, I can assume that's Jackie Brown, and then it kind of like you forget who she is
Yeah.
because it's like 20 minutes of
They're
like
just not her.
De Niro and Samuel Jackson
Samuel
just doing
Jackson.
some random like talking about guns.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the freaking like the video, the VHS they're watching with the ladies
Yeah.
with the guns just firing them off in bikinis. You're just like the thing. Like when I watched that, I'm wondering if that was like a for real VHS tape or if they had to film that for the movie.
Well, I don't know. I feel like back then that probably was a real VHS tape.
It kind of felt that way. Yeah. I watched almost I'm the tangent for a second, but I watched Killer Killer Sally or something like that. And it was this is a Netflix docu series about this lady that's a female bodybuilder that ends up killing her husband.
Uh-huh.
And she does films. And so when I was watching this, I was like, yo, that just reminds me of the Killer
It would have
Sally
been
or
funny
whatever.
if that was.
She just pops up and she's
Yeah, right. But it does seem like Tarantino probably went out to the movie store, like when he was like, "Oh shit, we gotta watch, we gotta put something on the TV when they're
yeah,
talking about something," and he just goes to
we
his
need
random like.
guns. We need women and guns.
But yeah, what do you take away from this movie as like as as what you enjoyed?
I think it's pretty much what we've talked about so far, like the use of color,
Hmm.
the soundtrack. So two things we touched on. Oh, there was a follow shot. I'm like glancing over at my notes. There was a shot when Samuel L. Jackson's character, after he put Beaumont, Chris Tucker, into the trunk, you just see him like you think, oh, he's gonna drive all the way to what Koreatown,
Hmm.
right? Drive all the way to Koreatown, and all he does, like the camera just slowly zooms out. He drives around a corner, and it kills him. I love that shot.
Yeah, and that's where I was like, whoa, like it. You can tell he's more established as a director. Like he's
Hmm.
trying out more things and stuff,
Yeah,
and still keeping it to his style. I was surprised so long into the movie. It's you see his quintessential Tarantino shot of like in the back of a car
oh yeah,
and the two
yeah,
dudes in the front. Like it took a long time for that shot to come into play,
yeah. He
and
did the
then he
trunk
uses
scene
it
pretty
quite a
quick.
bit.
Yeah, he did the trunk scene pretty quick, but then he eased into that back seat one.
Yeah, but then it was perfect for it's like they're probably using like a big old boom, like a dude probably sitting there with his camera, and then it just raises up and then pans over, and then you see he
Hmm.
just does a loop.
Just a
And
loop real quick.
I was thinking, so like a lot of those shots, like the beginning shot, like where we're
Yeah.
kind of like following Jackie Brown
As
going
she's
down
moving.
that thing,
Yeah.
and she's running around did you think that was like one shot where like I was
Her
like think
going
I
from The
from like the
was it
what
a
is it,
tram,
the
the
people
walkway?
mover or something? I
Yeah,
forget what
people
they're called.
mover. They're
Yeah,
going from the people mover to the gate.
yeah.
It should have been. It should have been like no, because there was a cut.
Was there? I couldn't. I asked Patty
Was
next to me. I was like, "Was there a cut?" I was like, I didn't recognize." She was like, "Maybe," but
no, but maybe not because they kind of just follow. The camera's following her as she's moving, and then she kind of gets off the people mover. So yeah, maybe not. I'm thinking there was a cut, but there might not have been.
if there was, it was
Pretty
well kind of
seamless.
edited because
Yeah.
there's also times where there's that shot where he's picking up Beaumont, which is a great like Chris Tucker when he's like super skinny and everything,
Yeah.
and like and now he's all buff and her. But they walk down the stairs and it's like the camera's like going through like the fence and everything,
hmm
but it's like following them.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a pretty long scene too, where it's like
Yeah.
we talk about pacing and like it's kind of like nowadays there's a lot
There's
of
so many
edits to
cuts.
movies and
Yeah.
cuts and everything where like it seems like Tarantino kind of knew exactly where it's like let's stay on these people. Who cares if the camera gets obstructed by
Yeah.
some
By
fence? It
something.
gives more realism to it.
Yeah. Even one of the car scenes. I think it's when I actually have their names on here. Ordell Samuel L. Jackson is
Yeah.
talking to Lewis, and they just have a full on conversation. You're just in the back seat as they're having this conversation.
Oh, wait, right before he
He
kills
kills
him.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because
There's
it's
no
like it,
cuts. It's just like, hey, they're having a conversation. We get to watch it, and then
and you kind of
surprise.
get the sense of what's happening,
Yeah.
and then you're like, I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, does Lewis not know what's happening? He has a gun in his hand, like no
Yeah.
matter what. But does he just assume that like, oh, he won't do that? Like, hey, we're cool and everything. But
We're homies.
yeah, he just seemed like it was funny because like Samuel Jackson's character Ordell was just a very paranoid person, where it's just
Yeah.
like he saw his end goal and he wanted to get there, and whoever came in front of him was was not gonna be in front of him any longer
Yeah.
and stuff. It was funny at the end where like he comes in. I thought that whole Jackie Brown confrontation at the bail bonds thing was gonna be
hmm
much longer, but she immediately was like, "He has a gun," and then
Yeah.
they,
And then just bop, bop, done.
as what most people believe, it's like there's a gun, and then they just shoot him like crazy and everything.
Don't even look. Just start firing off.
Yeah, they don't
It's
even
like,
see
look.
if it's true and everything. Which it's funny. I don't think he ever pulled it out. I think just
No.
like I think she
She
said
just
it and
said it, and
everything.
then, yeah. They were like, oh, we
Yeah.
believe her, and just fired off.
Well, let me ask you this: Did
Yeah.
you? I turned to Patty. I was like, do you think he ran after her? Like, did he go and find her and stuff? Like in Spain, what's Cherry,
Oh, the
the
bail
bail bonds
bondsman?
guy?
I, he had to have. Like, there's no way he was infatuated with that woman. Like, there's no way he didn't go try to chase her down.
Right? And why did you try to be like a like the strong man at the end, where it's like, oh, he was going to retire anyways. He said he didn't want
Exactly.
to do that job
He
anymore.
was done. Yeah. He tried to play it off. It's like, come
Yeah,
on. We know
five
it's
hundred
gonna play it
thousand
off.
dollars
Yeah.
back then and in Spain was probably
Yeah.
a lot of money. She was
Oh,
probably
you're
going to
sitting
spend it
back.
off like nothing. Yeah.
House is $10,000, if
Right.
that. Like, food doesn't cost as much as the US.
Yeah,
Like, you're sitting
they could have
pretty.
lived forever for
Yeah, honestly. There's 90 years old, still have a little bit of money left over, sitting back.
right.
Yeah.
A very young Debo to take over the business. Come
Yeah.
on. But I don't know. It's like I looked up his Wikipedia too. Sadly, he
Mhm.
died in
Yeah. 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 He passed
2020.
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they said he had like over like 130 film appearances.
What? Oh, they're
Yeah, it
all like
was
probably small.
probably like little things and everything. Like look at
But
this. Like I don't.
130 is crazy.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And to be recognized most of all probably as Debo and
Oh, yeah. As
everything.
Debo. Yeah. I can't name anything else. Like, I've probably seen him in other things, but like, I can't name any of his other characters other than
Yeah,
Debo.
you're definitely always gonna be like, hey, you're Debo.
Yeah. Like, at least Chris Tucker, you can be, oh, he's Smokey or he's Agent Carter.
Yeah,
Not Agent Carter.
whatever his
Detective
name is
Carter.
in
I just know it's Carter. Carter and Lee.
yeah.
Yeah,
Patty just watched all those, so she should know.
do it.
Yeah. But yeah, this was a very enjoyable. Actually, the color was not something that kind of popped out to me
Mm,
after first watching, but it is more color than you expect from
yeah,
Tarantino. 'Cause it's not like pastel, but like I feel like Jackie Brown
it's like a
wore
bold.
more
Yeah,
things
it's like a
as
warm, bold.
colorful.
Yeah, I think that was where the color really stood out for me. Was like Jackie's outfits,
Hmm.
and then the opening scene was like super colorful.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, was there anything that I didn't mention that you liked?
Mostly all that. I like. I feel like this was he was very settled in his directing, and
Yeah.
he kind of knew what his style was probably, and he knows how to tell a story. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he knows how to tell the story that he wants also.
Mm-hmm.
um and also like it also starts like those different perspectives, or like continues on those different perspectives, like when they do the final handoff or the final exchange of money,
Yeah.
where they do the whole like ploy of going into the fitting room, so it shows like three different occurrences of the same events and everything, so like it shows like where everyone's at in that situation,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of adds. It's almost like a heist film. I think. Like,
Yeah.
would you kind of
Yeah.
like put it that it's like they because like Lewis's character was in prison for like a bank robbery and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but this sort of kind of matches and mimics like a heist film where it's like
Yeah.
it has the
Italian
title cards.
Job type
Basically,
of
it
thing.
shows you like where you are
Mm-hmm.
in the
Which I really
environment.
liked. Yeah, I
Yeah,
actually really liked that.
yeah, I liked how he did that. Where it's like it tells you where you're in Compton, you're in Hollywood or whatever and
Pasadena or
stuff.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when he goes into the different perspectives of the same time frame, it
Mm-hmm.
shows a time like a time. That's like, oh, they showed up here, like Lewis and the melody chick that were like super late and stuff. Like they showed up like at like 4:10 or something. Um, but but yeah, I like that where it's like it did mimic a heist movie, but it was nowhere close as to what you would think. Like, oh, they're not taking out a grand, like big old bags of money
Yeah.
out of a bank and everything.
There's
But
no
it had the same kind
masks.
of mood and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, no mask or anything. Yeah.
There was and this is just honestly just me kind of pointing out the cinematography of it, but the scene with Ordell and Beaumont when they're out, are they outside? No, no, no. When Ordell opens the trunk, so it's the trunk scene, the typical Tarantino trunk scene. There was something about the color, like the moonlit blue hitting like Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Tucker's skin
Mm-hmm.
that really popped, and I really liked the way it looked. Uh, there's this, I guess, I don't know if it's unspoken, but there's a lot of times where I've heard of, I can't say I've done it, but I've heard of in filmmaking that it's difficult to light black skin. And
Mm-hmm.
so to see that, it really stood out and I really enjoyed the look of it. Uh, and I think this came out, I think this was before Belly. I want to say it's before Belly, but a lot of people praise Belly and praise Hype Williams, who directed Belly, for his lighting of black skin because he's adding reds and blues and all these colors, and it makes all the characters' skin really pop out. And it seemed like with that short scene, Tarantino was able to kind of mimic and have like a really good lighting effect on their skin. I enjoyed that.
I wonder how he must have consulted with somebody or just knew. Like,
Yeah.
I think no one questions his vision of being able to like see things and stuff, and I wonder how much like he has a cinematographer
Hmm.
that kind of and then some person that probably sets up lights and stuff. But it's all him that's kind of like looking and seeing as to like, yeah, this looks the way I want it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like I wonder how the hell did he know
I'm
that?
just wondering, like, now there's so many tools. Like, I use different apps to get inspiration or to look up Tarantino movies, the Scorsese. You can get basically where I get images so we can make our posters for each episode called Shot Deck. And I can easily go in there, type in a movie. They most likely have it, and I can get the reference and be like, oh yeah, I can pull from the cinematography or just this scene. But
Mm,
they didn't have that back then. So they're looking at other movies and like having to remember, oh, in Friday or whatever, they did this or they lit it this way, and just have to have that in their memory bank. Where people now that are making films and music videos can easily just be like, okay, cool, I'm gonna Google something and something's gonna
right?
pop up, and they can easily just replicate that.
Yeah, you kind of saw where the technology was within this movie, anyways. Too, their
Hmm.
beepers. Samuel Jackson has like a very like like small cell phone, or like the like not early cell phones, but sort of like
That
in that like when
Zoolander
cell
phone.
phones were kind of come. Yeah, right. But yeah, and definitely probably he's like, all right, how am I gonna like shoot this scene? Who am I going to use for reference and stuff? And he's probably calling
Yeah,
up people and being like, hey, what would you do? Or like he just knows it himself and stuff. Where
yeah.
nowadays, like you say, like people can look up, like, oh, this person lit this scene using these specific lights or this
Hmm.
way, or look at images and be like, and it gives him a real time look of it. He probably
Yeah,
also, like, if you think about it, he's probably filming on film, and
yep.
whether or not this took multiple days, this shot that you're talking about, like the trunk scene, I wonder if he shot it the day before and he's like, and he looked at it and he's like, that doesn't look good. And then he
Ugh.
does he like how many times you do that? And then how many times you have to tell yourself, don't do that. Like just like we're blowing all of our money just like reshooting these things.
Hey, Kubrick was doing 100 takes.
True, true, and he'll piss off a
So,
lot of people about doing
yeah.
that. But that was more of a psychological thing too, right? He was trying to get people to like emulate the emotions by pissing them off, but then also like getting that
Actually
out of
pissing
them
them
and
off.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, so but he also like he's seen as a very nitpicky person too.
yeah,
That it was like everything needed to be set up exactly. That's why I think no matter what with these types of like Tarantino, like you say, you can go back and watch these movies and you can see it four different times, five different times, and probably see something different that you didn't see before because he puts those little nuances to like everything. You
yeah,
hear like little like influxes of people's like emphasizations of like certain words, and you're like, why did they choose to do that? Or like why? Because he likes I like the way he does like where it's like it's just let's film a conversation and everything like
yeah.
Samuel Jackson talking about guns and everything. There's so much. It's like a 20-minute scene of like them like just talking about that.
Or even like looking at Pulp Fiction, the conversations that are the dialogue they have in there, and just
Mm-hmm.
the lack of cuts. Like, I don't know when that transition happened, but you just don't have dialogue and conversations like that in movies. Everything is, okay, let's have a wide of it, let's have a over the shoulder, let's have the solo, go back to the wide, and it's like, okay, my attention span is shot now.
Yeah,
Let this conversation just play out.
yeah. I guess I don't know. I guess you see some filmmakers being more confident in their style. I guess, and
Yeah.
Tarantino, no matter what. But nowadays, he's kind of built that reputation. I guess because of these movies like Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction and stuff, where people are just gonna watch the movie because of Tarantino. Like, and
Mm.
you know what you're kind of walking into and all this stuff. The length of the film is probably where I believe it was too long.
Yeah,
Like
that's
two and a
actually
half
my
hours. That's
dislike
sort
also.
of, there's some like portions where you're like, all right, I can probably get up and stretch or something, or
Yeah.
like you find your mind wandering in
Hmm.
some of these scenes and stuff, and so that that's and I wonder if Tarantino just like who gives a shit and everything. If someone has that argument with them, it's almost like who's the dude that does Batman, the Batman movies and stuff, and Christopher
Christopher
Nolan.
Nolan. Yeah.
Yeah, people ask him about his like sound mixing and stuff, and he's like, I do it for these grand stages. I don't do it for your living room.
He does it for freaking IMAX.
Yeah,
Like,
so he doesn't give a shit.
yeah, you can't replicate IMAX in your house. Like, come on.
But that's my only gripe with this movie. Probably is
Yeah.
that it's fairly long. It's a little bit not long winded, but um, we talk about it all the time. Where it's like you can kind of feel how long it is,
Yeah.
and this one's a little long.
Like you could have definitely trimmed some of the fat.
Yeah.
So I had that as a dislike, and I didn't have it listed as a dislike. I just had it listed in my like notes. But the freaking sex scene with Lewis, I was like, this is terrible. Like I really put a horrible sex scene.
Yeah, there's no point of
Yeah.
that.
They were just like, hey, let's throw this in here.
But I wonder if it's like it is supposed to emulate like someone coming out of prison that like never hasn't had sex in a long time, and that's merely probably what's gonna be and
Just help me
everything.
out
I
real
don't know.
quick. Let me get
Yeah.
let me help you. Come on.
Yeah, De Niro's probably like, that probably could have been better, but yeah, that
But
was
yeah,
pretty
those are my
bad.
only gripes.
Yeah. What'd you end up rating the movie?
Uh so it was weird. Like even though it's been a while since I've seen it, I didn't know how to rate it, but I
Mhm.
think I would give it a 3.5,
3.5.
if not a 4. Yeah.
I came out with a 4.5.
Okay.
I was I was like fluctuating on a 4. Like I was like, I know
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 4. Um, but then I was like, I was really surprised, and not surprised, but it's like this was a good story. I liked it.
Mm.
I liked the emphasis on like this whole month we're trying to do strong female uh, main characters and stuff, and I think Jackie Brown kind of like hits it out of the ballpark and stuff. Where it's
Oh yeah,
like,
she was perfect.
yeah, and so for me, I was like, this is. I've seen a lot of Tarantino movies. Like there's a lot of nuance to them, but this one I think was a good kind of change. I don't know, like if you're just like watching Tarantino movies, like this one probably someone would be like, "This is a Tarantino movie." Like,
But that's the thing about this movie is like you can forget that it's one of his films
mm-hmm.
because all of his films all like they focus on a specific genre, but they still have like a Tarantino feel. And for some reason, like this one has the feel. Like we talked about all of the shots that he's replicated in movies after, but it just doesn't. When you picture Tarantino, at least for me, like when I picture Tarantino movies, Jackie Brown isn't the first one that comes to mind.
I wonder what he thinks about the movie. Like, where do you think he ever ranks his own movies?
I don't know. That's tough. That's like trying to pick your favorite kid.
Yeah.
Every
I
parent
think
has
some
one,
parents are
but
probably like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I
every
can do
parent has one. They probably just don't
that."
say it.
But I wonder, like, in his films, like, where does he
Yeah,
place this movie?
Jackie Brown.
Yeah.
I don't know because I think this one falls by the wayside because he came out so strong. Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and then this came. I want to say this was the third one, and yeah, so to have those two and then have this one is kind of just like, all right, cool. I'm gonna remember Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction before I remember Jackie Brown.
Yeah, I wonder. Hmm.
Yeah, maybe we can Google to
Maybe.
see if he has his list of
Yeah,
what his
right.
favorite
Like if
films
he has his own
are.
kind of, it's like Jackie Brown's like in the middle. So I don't know. I can see
It's all
that.
number one, and we're just like,
Yeah.
oh,
But all right, then I can ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you buy this for your
Yeah.
own movie collection, and would you recommend it?
Oh yeah, both. Yeah, for sure. Like I think as a movie lover, you at least for me, I'm a Tarantino fan, so I would have all of his films in
Mhm.
my collection. So I would have to have Jackie Brown, and I enjoyed the movie too, so I wouldn't pass
Yeah,
him.
I think even if you're not even trying to buy all of Tarantino movies, I think I'm gonna wait to buy a whole collection once he's done with all 10.
Yeah,
I think that's probably a good recommendation to do that if instead of wasting your money on like
yeah.
certain like
You get the
gift
9, and then
boxes.
you like, I gotta wait.
Yeah, like you know his plan already, so it's like, what's
Yeah,
the point? But I think even if you're not maybe if you're not into Tarantino movies, like we said, it's probably hard to kind of like really pinpoint that this is a Tarantino movie. Like
yeah,
this is probably kind of like one that you can kind of say like if you don't like Tarantino movies, this is one to watch, I think. And this is one
yeah.
to recommend to anybody if someone has not watched this, even myself, like I've gone what 30 plus years and not watched this and stuff. So it's like I
That still
think
blows my mind.
yeah.
I really thought you had seen it.
No. But I would definitely buy this for my own movie collection too, where it's like I don't know if I'll be watching it like once a year or something, um, but yeah, I think I can find my. I think a lot of people can learn from this movie too. Like you said, how to light black skin color and stuff. Like that's something that probably a lot of people like. I'm brown, but that's probably a little bit a lot more easier than black skin. But it's like a lot of
Right.
people don't know how to do it, so you can use this as a reference and stuff. And using those long kind of like seeing as to like how harmful like multiple edits can be or cuts
Oh, to a long,
to a
yeah,
scene can
conversation.
be and stuff. And
Yeah.
so like having you invest into the conversation is probably better for the long game than just kind of like showing every single like corner of the room during some of these
Just
movies.
super annoying.
And Marvel is like very like that and all that
Yeah.
stuff. There's a lot of
Very
movies that
cut
just like
happy.
yeah, they give you like many aspects of like the room and stuff. Like
Yeah.
you notice more things about the room than the conversation most of the time, probably.
And that has to be the reason behind it. Because they always put little Easter eggs. So it's like, oh, let's show you everything. I
Yeah, I
get it,
wonder.
but let me just let Spider Man and Iron Man have a conversation.
Hmm.
Don't
Hmm.
keep cutting it.
Yeah, you would invest more in the people, I think,
Yeah.
or like the character themselves.
And that's probably why people like Tarantino's character so much, because you actually get invested in that character.
And they seem like real people too.
Yeah.
No matter what, these are like people that you can probably meet in your own everyday
Hmm.
life and stuff. And like I think a lot of people will probably believe like, no, you have to like live a very eccentric life or like an adventurous life. Like, no, if you go outside and talk to people, you're
Yeah,
gonna run into somebody that's like one of these
exactly.
characters.
Someone that's robbed a bank before and got away
Yeah.
with it. Someone that was a
Yeah.
former slave and became free, became a bounty
Anything.
hunter. Like,
Anything, yeah. but but yeah. You wanna take us out?
yeah. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Saturday Night Popcorn. I'm Kai.
And I'm Jason, and we'll be back next week for another one.